The village of Hollow Creek was small and quiet. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Children played in the streets, their laughter echoing through the square, but beyond the village lay a dark and ancient forest. The forest was ancient, with twisted trees clawing at the sky. Their branches were gnarled and thick. The forest floor was always in shadow. No one dared go into the forest at night. Legends spoke of strange creatures lurking among the trees. At the edge of the forest stood an old mansion. The mansion was grand, with tall spires and dark windows. It was once home to a wealthy family, but they had disappeared many years ago. No one dared to go near the mansion. The mansion was said to be cursed. Stories about the mansion were whispered from generation to generation. They were tales of horror, tales of tragedy. The villagers of Hollow Creek believed the mansion was haunted. They said the ghosts of the missing family still roamed the halls. Children were warned never to go near the mansion. They were told that the mansion would swallow them whole. The stories scared the children, but they also made them curious. One group of teenagers decided to test their courage. They wanted to see if the stories were true. They dared each other to spend a night in the mansion. The dare was a test of bravery, a challenge none of them could resist. The teenagers were about to discover the truth about the mansion. They were about to face their fears. They were about to enter a world of terror. The group consisted of 5 teenagers. There was Michael, the athletic one, Emily, the smart one, Ben, the shy one, Chloe, the popular one, and Jake, the class clown. They met on a Friday night. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the village. They stood at the edge of the forest, staring at the mansion. The mansion loomed over them. It looked like a giant, hungry beast. "Are you sure about this?" Ben asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Don't be such a scaredy cat," Chloe said, rolling her eyes. "It's just an old house." "Yeah," Michael said, "there's nothing to be scared of," but even he sounded unsure. One by one, they started walking towards the mansion. Each step filled them with dread. The sun dipped below the horizon as they reached the mansion's front steps. Shadows stretched out like long fingers, reaching for the teenagers as if to pull them closer. The air grew cold, sending shivers down their spines. The once grand double doors had rotted, hanging precariously from their hinges. A single touch was all it took for Michael to push them open, groaning as if in pain. The stench of decay hit them like a wall. Dust swirled in the air, thick and heavy. "This place is creepy," Jake whispered, his usual bravado gone. Emily pulled out her phone, using its flashlight to pierce the darkness. Cobwebs hung everywhere, glistening like macabre decorations. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the sound of their own breathing. With hesitant steps, they crossed the threshold and entered the mansion. Section 5. Eerie whispers and footsteps. The interior of the mansion was dark and decayed. Dust covered every surface. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like ghostly drapes. The air was heavy with the smell of mildew and decay. It was as if the house itself was breathing. They walked through the entrance hall. Their footsteps echoed through the silence. "Did you hear that?" Ben whispered, his eyes wide with fear. "Hear what?" Chloe asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought I heard a whisper," Ben said, "like someone was right behind me." They stopped and listened. The only sound was the beating of their own hearts. Then they heard it. Footsteps, slow and heavy, coming from the floor above them. Terror tightened their throats, silencing any further questions. Their eyes darted towards the source of the sound, hearts pounding in unison with the heavy footsteps above. Slowly they made their way up the grand staircase, each creaking step a testament to the mansion's decay. A long hallway stretched before them, lined with portraits of people they didn't recognize. The eyes of the people in the paintings seemed to follow them as they walked. It was as if they were being watched, judged. At the end of the hallway hung a large portrait of a woman. She was beautiful, with long flowing hair and a sad, angry face. But it was her eyes that held their attention. They were black as night, and they seemed to follow the teenagers as they moved. Her eyes... "They're moving," Emily whispered, her voice filled with fear. "It's just an old painting," Michael said, trying to sound brave. But even he couldn't shake the feeling that the woman in the portrait was alive. As they continued down the hallway, the heavy footsteps started again. This time, they were closer. Panic surged through them. The footsteps echoed relentlessly above, closer now, each thud like a hammer blow against their sanity. They had to escape, to get out of this nightmare. But the mansion had other plans. They raced back down the hallway, past the watchful eyes of the portraits. But the grand staircase that had led them up had vanished. In its place was a solid wall. "What's going on?" Chloe cried, fear twisting her features. "We're trapped," Jake stammered, his face pale. The mansion was changing around them, twisting and turning, becoming a labyrinth of shadows and fear. Doors that had been open were now sealed shut. Rooms they hadn't seen before materialized out of thin air. They were lost. They ran through the ever-shifting mansion, their hearts pounding in their chests. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper. Whispers followed them, taunting them, driving them deeper into the heart of the mansion. They stumbled upon a hidden door, concealed behind a tattered tapestry. Hope flared. Could this be their way out? Heaving the door open, they were met not with freedom but with an abyss of darkness. An unnatural chill blasted from the opening, biting at their skin. Before they could react, icy hands shot out, grabbing them, pulling them into the darkness. Their screams were swallowed by the shadows. The door slammed shut. Silence descended once more upon the mansion. Morning broke over Hollow Creek, painting the sky with soft hues of pink and orange. But the beauty of the dawn did little to ease the growing unease in the village. The teenagers hadn't returned. Whispers of the mansion and its curse spread like wildfire. Some villagers ventured to the edge of the forest, their faces etched with worry. They stood at a distance, afraid to approach. The mansion stood silent, its windows dark and empty, but from within its depths some swore they could hear faint whispers. They could see shadows moving behind the glass. The mansion had claimed its latest victims, and the villagers of Hollow Creek knew that it would never let them go. The mansion remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked at the edge of their world. The silence was deafening.